welcome back to Legacy Battle. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification button. I'm Michael Adams. Joining me tonight from the Gridiron Battle Zone, Brian King, Penn State Collegiate Hockey All-Star, Kevin Adams. We have a career interview for you today here. We are joined by an NHL center who played 10 seasons with the Colorado Rockies, not the baseball team, everybody. We're going back here a little bit. Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Maple Leafs, a couple games with the Washington Capitals and the Buffalo Sabres. He has 5 30-goal seasons, and he led the league in power play goals, the NHL 2 times. He's got 402 points in 447 career games, so that's a pretty outstanding number there. We want to welcome Paul Gardner here. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Let's jump into this. Brian, start us out.
All right. So, Paul, your father, Cal Gardner, he played NHL hockey for several years before you were born, coached briefly, and also was a radio hockey announcer in Toronto for a number of years. In addition to that, your older brother, Dave, went on to become an NHL player. So what were those early days like for you in Ontario with so much hockey around you in the home?
Well, they were fabulous. I guess I didn't realize growing up how special they were, but Dad was terrific. He didn't push hockey on us. We played baseball. We played golf as a family, and we played hockey when it was hockey season. He made sure he got us to the games and gave us a little bit of advice, sat in the corner with his coffee and watched the game. And we talk a little bit about it after, but never really pushed it or anything. And Mom would come and she was just worried that we didn't get hurt. But it was special when I look back on it growing up with Dad. He was tremendous. He was a fun person to be around, and he, just taught me lots about life. But and then following brother David was great too. He just quietly would, give me hints and everything. But I guess it became an inspiration or a driving force later on, because when I got about 16 or 17, people would always say, "Oh, you'll never be as good as your brother. You'll never be as good as your dad." And I think deep down it bothered me. I never said it to anybody, but it was like, well, I'll show you. I'll try and be as good as them. And so I think it was a driving force at around 16 or 17. But again, both of them, Dad and brother, never pushed it on me or anything. We worked as a happy family. And again, Mom got the equipment ready and made sure we didn't get hurt.
So before we move on to the Pittsburgh Penguins, we're going to start with the Colorado Rockies here. This is kind of an opinionated question, and then Kevin will ask you one more about your time there. But so your first NHL team, Colorado Rockies, as we said, ultimately they failed and they moved to New Jersey. Why do you think that franchise failed there when 13 years later, the Colorado Avalanche come around and they're hugely successful?
Well, one, we moved in real quickly coming from Kansas City. We got there, I think there was only an announcement like a month before, September, that we were coming, type of thing. And marketing just got a little bit behind. At the same time, the Denver Broncos, the Orange Crush, were the team in the NFL. So it was tough to get a place on the sports page just to get our things going. I thought we were doing a lot of things in the right direction with, drafting of Barry Beck, and, we had Wilfie Paymont, some quality players, and I thought we were coming along good, but just didn't get the support from the fans at the time. I think Denver University was a top team then, and there just wasn't enough money for, to go keep coming to hockey games. And the first year we were not a playoff team. The second year we made the playoffs and got some great crowds, but then it died off again after that. So the biggest thing I think though was that the Broncos were so good at that time. They were going to close to the Super Bowl and making things happen, and we just didn't get enough support from the media, I think, to keep us there. But it was a great city. That the times when some of the big teams would come in, we'd get a big crowd and stuff. They knew their hockey, but it just didn't have enough money to support us.
So looking at the Rockies/Devils franchise, I see that you actually hold 2 franchise records. One being that you the least amount of games to score 30 goals in a season, and then you did it in 44, and then you had the longest game streak of scoring a goal at 8 games, which you set in 77 and 78. What does it mean to you to hold those franchise records? I mean, that's pretty impressive. I know Mercer was closing in on that record, but he ended up tying you a
Yes.
season ago. So what does it mean to you to have those records? And were you rooting for him to pass you?
Yeah, well, you know what? I got contacted by the New Jersey Press, and it was great to get my name mentioned and all that. They looked at the franchise. It's a proud thing. I know I'm very proud of what I did and what I accomplished. It's nice to show people now that, you know, I did chip in a few goals when I played and had a decent career. But yeah, I think you're always cheering for someone to break the record. Mercer's a talented kid who was battling hard, and you know, I think we ended up tied with it and everything. But it's certainly nice to get mentioned. It's nice now for my children to look back, and although they just think I'm dad that bugs them all the time, it's nice to show them that dad accomplished a few things. And again, I think everybody's proud of their careers. I'm proud of my career, and again, I'm using the word nice. It's nice when your name shows up in the record books or it shows up in the media.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell them that there's records that Jack Hughes hasn't broke yet. So I mean, that makes you
Right,
look
exactly. There's
great.
There's one hockey card that I have that I led the league in power play goals, and I think Gretzky was second. So when my boy was younger, at 8 and 9 years old, that was his favorite card. He could show his friends that I was ahead of Wayne Gretzky. But yeah, it's nice. There's another one. There's 4 of us. They show the top 4 power play goals guys, and 3 of them are Hall of Famers and one's me, and it's like Sesame Street. Which one doesn't belong? But it's nice to have all those records, or the few records, and it's nice to have the memorabilia of it all.
All right, well, I'm going to give you the hard question now here. We're going to take you to the 83-84 Pittsburgh Penguins season. After 3 extremely good seasons, scoring 34, 36, and 28 goals, that started that season in the 83-84 there. You had a bit of a slump, and they moved you to the minors, where you went and you tore it up. So my question for you is, in your opinion, did the Penguins not bring you back up because they were tanking on purpose to draft some guy named Mario Lemieux?
Certainly. Yeah, there's no question that you know, back then when you had asked about it, you tried to hide and protect it. But no, we had a team down in Baltimore there at the time that there was 7 or 8 guys that should have been in the big leagues, I believe. And you know, one, Kevin McClellan, I think, went on to win 4 or 5 Stanley Cups, some of them with the Edmonton Oilers. But we were too good a team to be down there. We won our first playoff round 4 straight and had to wait 14 days for the next series, and our guys just wanted to get home. But yeah, I truly believe that Pittsburgh knew what they were doing, and changing to young goaltenders and keeping us a bunch in the minors. So now when I end up in Pittsburgh and everything, you get talking hockey, I say that I'm part of the reason Mario made it to Pittsburgh, because they sent me down. So, but I had a good time, good players down there, and we made the best of it. We won a lot of games and had fun, but I think a lot of us were disappointed that we were there.
Kevin, let me build off that real quick before you go.
Okay.
So did they say anything to you guys about any of that, like why you weren't coming back up, or was anything mentioned at all, or was it all like hush hush?
Well, they tried to keep it hush hush. I know Coach Lou Angotti got asked about the first 2 playoff games against Springfield. I had 3 goals and 2 assists in both games, so I had 10 points in the first 2 games. And the press asked him, you know, why I didn't get a chance, and he just said, well, he's just got to keep working harder and improve his game. And you know, we all just sort of chuckled at that. But again, there was some good players that were down there. You know, as it got closer, it got into the national media, and I think nowadays it had been unbelievable because of the social media, what they would have said. But I don't think there's any question that Pittsburgh, and the people that did it would admit it now. They wouldn't probably admit it back then, but I'm sure if you grabbed Eddie Johnson or somebody, they would say, "Yo, certainly we tanked it to get the draft pick."
So I want to take you over to the year after the Pittsburgh Penguins. You go over to Washington Capitals. It's hard to say that name, being a Pens fan, but you go to the Capitals. You're on their minor league team, and man, you did even even better over there. You had 130 points, 51 goals, in 64 games, averaging over 2 points per game. That is incredible. Why do you think the Capitals didn't bring you back for a second season?
Well, they asked me to come back for another season, but I chose not to. But I signed a contract there. It was an unusual contract. After Baltimore, I signed a contract that would pay me $25,000 no matter where I played, the minors or the big leagues. But if I played in Washington, I would get $1,000 a game. Their thoughts being that they would keep me in Washington all year. And so if they didn't dress me some games, 2 or 3 in a row, I wouldn't be getting paid, type of thing. So they felt that I would probably play 50 games or so with them, so I'd make $75,000. And it was but right in training camp, I got sent down, and I said, well, this doesn't seem like it's the way we had planned. So I ended up getting a call up for a little bit, but just playing power play time. But the biggest thing then is at the end of the year, David Poyle and Jack Button, who ended up being good friends and hiring me later, came in and said, congratulations, great year, scoring records and all that. And I just looked them straight in the face and said, this is not where I wanted to be. This is not where I signed to be. And they both were quite surprised at my talk, sort of thing. And so our talk there didn't end up on a very happy note. So I wasn't planning to go back to there, although they did make me an offer to come back. But yeah, as much as I had a great time in Binghamton, and we had a great team there, sharing with Hartford, and won a lot of games, I had hoped to continue to play in the big leagues, and it didn't happen.
Paul, in 1997, with the Portland Pirates of the AHL, you took the ice 11 years after you had retired. This was due to a team roster that was depleted with injuries, and you were able to pick up an assist in that game. So what emotions were going through you when you realized you're going to suit up for a game one last time?
It was a fun story. In the minors in Portland, Barry Trotz and I were the coaches, and we never had enough guys for practice. It was always guys called up, or there was only 15 guys on your minor league team. So about 80% of the time I practiced with the team just to try and make 4 lines, or to be a defense pair or something like that to keep the drills going. And so I was in decent shape, I guess, for 40 years old, type of thing. And we had a plane flight was bringing 3 players in that got snowed out, and Andrew Burnett being one of them. And so I just looked at Trotzy and said, well, we need one more to sign to make a roster tonight, so I'm going to suit up. And so the boys got a big kick out of it, and they found a jersey, and they filled it full of baby powder. And when I walked in, sort of half dressed and everything, they shook it like dust coming off the jersey.
Nice.
And so then we got out, and we were playing pretty well, actually, and we got a power play. And I looked at Barry and I said, okay, I'm ready, let's go. And if you'd known my game, it was sort of to get to the net. And so we got a power play, and I went and stood in front of the net, and I deflected one, and it went right off the goalie to Yogi Starakowski, and he shot it in. And so I had a helper right off the bat, and the boys scored 2 more in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So we end up being up 3-1 and then 4-1. And I just looked at Barry and I said, well, I don't have to go out anymore unless, we get to serve a penalty or something. So I played a couple more shifts, but it was quite humorous to get an assist. And then the gentleman there made me the 3rd star of the game, even though I'd only had about 4 or 5 shifts. But after, it was the fastest couple of beers I ever drank, celebrating and enjoying it, but getting over the nerves too. It was a fun experience.
So your NHL career shooting percentage is one of the all-time best. 17.9% is good for 34th all-time in NHL history. To what do you attribute that success?
Lots of shots from close in. I never slapped the puck very often at all. But again, being around the net on the power play, but I was a real accurate shooter. I would stay out every practice and stand on the face-off dots and try and bank pucks off the far post. There wasn't a practice that I didn't do that, and obviously unless the ice time ran out or something else. But 90% of the time I worked on my accuracy, and the good Lord gave me some good hands, and I was able to be pretty accurate with my shots and everything. And again, a lot of it was in tight around the net. I know they joked in Colorado that my first 9 goals in the NHL, I never shot the puck. I just deflected them all or banged a rebound in. That was my game around the net, and just sort of believed I wasn't the greatest skater, but sooner or later the puck had to get to the net. And if I got there first, I'll get a chance at the rebound or a tip or a shot. So, but I really worked hard on my accuracy.
Paul, you've coached for a number of teams in a number of different leagues throughout the years: the AHL, NHL, KHL, CHL, and the German League, just to name a few. So could you tell us your favorite thing about coaching hockey, and tell us your least favorite thing about coaching hockey?
Least favorite thing is benching a player or releasing a player in training camp type of thing. I mean, it's gut wrenching because some of these guys, it's obviously their job, and it's really, really difficult because I've been in their shoes before. I've been cut from teams or sent down, and so that's the worst part about coaching. So I really don't enjoy that, and I really didn't enjoy benching players. I won't mention the guy's name, but in Newmarket with the Leafs, the one night I got a player turned around and swore at me, and to send a message, I sat him for 60 minutes the whole next game, and it was the hardest thing to do for me. But he knew it, and the rest of the players knew I had to do it and stuff like that. He was a great guy. I liked him a lot too. He worked hard, but I just felt that was the punishment to do it. So those are the things that I didn't enjoy. But I love the camaraderie of the players, trying to teach the young guys and trying to have fun every day. Probably not the favorite of some of the general managers, because I tried to really make everything upbeat all the time and everything. But I had a great time coaching. Made a lot of great memories and a lot of fun. Won a few championships, and it was a great the camaraderie. That's what you miss when you walk away from the game and you walk away from that. Or if you're scouting, I scouted for a few years, and you miss the locker room, being around the guys and being on the ice every day.
So what kind of advice would you have for players that are coming up through like the farm systems, and they may experience that back and forth balancing between the NHL, AHL? Because I know probably takes a hit on the mental part and getting over that kind of mentality. What kind of advice would you have for players that are
I think the biggest thing is don't go down to the minors and pout. If you go down and you complain and you pout, and it's a simple thing to say, and it's easy to say, but it's hard to do. It's sometimes you get some guys that and the decision is made by management that you're going down, or you've been sent down, or you're being released, and it's not going to change by screaming and yelling or not working. I think go down and try and prove them wrong, and that's sort of the thing I talked about with my brother and the people, saying you'll never be as good as your dad and your brother. I tried to prove them wrong, and that's when I went to the minors. That's what I did. I tried to prove people wrong that I don't belong here. Even though you're upset and disappointed, there's another thing that I learned later on, that success is a daily choice, and that's what it was. If you choose to be successful every day when you go to the rink, more times than not you're going to be. But if you don't, success is going to drift away. And so I think that's the biggest thing, that anybody, you're sure you're disappointed going to the minors, or I'm sure you're disappointed being released, or not getting to play on the third line, you're on the fourth line, but you just got to prove them wrong. So work hard every day and make the best of it. Yeah.
So Paul, I see over your shoulder there an old Maple Leafs jersey. So can you tell us a little bit about what the story is behind that one?
Yeah, very, very gladly tell you about that. That's my father's jersey in 1948-49. He scored the Stanley Cup winning goal against Detroit. He scored in the second period to make it 2-1, and the Leafs went on to win 3-1 that night and win the Stanley Cup. And for scoring the goal, his bonus, they walked in and told him that he could keep his jersey and take it home with him. And Dad just kept it upstairs in a cupboard, and Mom kept mothballs on it, sort of thing. He never bragged about it or showed it to anybody. And when I got older, around 30, I asked Mom about it, and she says, "Oh, it's still there." And sure enough, a few years later, they came down to Nashville to visit me coaching, and Dad said he was cold, and could I go upstairs and get a sweater out of his bag? And sure enough, it was the jersey, and he said he wanted me to keep it. And so my wife and I had it framed. It's special glass, so it won't get bothered by the sunlight or anything like that. And it's my pride and joy. I have his Stanley Cup ring, but there's something about the jersey that's special. And I've told my wife that if the house is on fire, that I'll get the jersey first, and I'll be back for her after that. But it's really, really special to me. And obviously, being in our office in the house here, we see it quite a bit.
Well, thank you, Paul, for coming on, joining us. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for being here.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Remind everybody, hit that like, subscribe, notification button. Thank you for everyone for watching. We'll see everybody next time. Have a great night.